Chapter 39. I try to put my thoughts in order. First question: should I believe Yuki? I analyzed matters on the level of pure possibility, wiping the field clear of emotional elements as far as I could see. This required no great effort. My feelings had been numbed, as if I had been stung from the very beginning. The possibility exists. The longer I considered the possibility, the more the possibility moved toward probability. I stood in the kitchen making coffee, then pouring myself a cup, I retreated with it to my bed. By the time I had finished it, the probability had become a fair certainty. Yes, it was exactly as Yuki had seen it. Gotanda had murdered Kiki, hauled her body away, buried it. How absurd. There was no proof whatsoever, only the dream of an oversensitive 13-year-old girl watching a movie. And yet, somehow, what she said could not be doubted. This was shocking. Still, my instincts accepted it fully. Why? How could I be so sure? I didn't know. Next question: why would Gotanda kill Kiki? I didn't know. Next question: did Gotanda also kill May? Why? What would make Gotanda want to kill her? Again, I didn't know. I racked my brains but couldn't come up with a single reason why Gotanda would kill either Kiki or May. There were too many unknowns. I had to see Gotanda. I had to ask him directly. I reached for the phone but couldn't bring myself to dial his number. I set down the receiver, rolled over on the bed, and gazed up at the ceiling. Gotanda had become a friend. I would never have guessed how much of a friend. Suppose he did kill Kiki. He was still my friend. I didn't want to lose him. Not like I'd already lost so many things in life. No, I couldn't call him. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I sat, and when the phone rang, I let it ring. If it was Gotanda, what was I going to say? If it was Yuki, or even Yumiyoshi, I didn't care. I didn't want to talk to anybody. 4 days, 5 days, I stayed put and thought, why? I hardly ate, hardly slept. I didn't drink a drop. I stayed indoors. I lost touch with my body. With all that happened to me already, I was still losing. And now here I was, all alone. It was always like this. In some ways, Gotanda and I were of the same species. Different circumstances, different thinking, different sensibilities. The same species. We both kept losing. And now we were losing each other. I could see Kiki. What was that all about? But was Kiki dead, covered with dirt in the ground, like my keeper? Ultimately, Kiki had to die. Strange how I couldn't see things any other way. The skin of my soul was no longer tender. I tried not to feel anything at all. My resignation was a silent rain falling over a vast sea. Even loneliness was beyond me. Everything was taking leave of me, like ciphers in the sand, blown away on the wind. So another person had joined the group in the most bizarre chamber of my world. 4 down, 2 to go. Sooner or later, bleached white bones ferried to that room via some impossible architecture. Death's waiting room in downtown Honolulu, connected to the dark, chill lair of the shipman in a Sapporo hotel, connected to the Sunday morning bedroom where Gotanda lay with Kiki. Was I losing my mind? Real events under imaginary circumstances filtering back, wild, distorted, bizarre. Was there nothing absolute? Was there no reality? Sapporo in the March snow could as easily not have been real. Sitting on the beach in Makaha with Dick North had seemed real enough, but a one-armed man cutting bread in perfect slices, and a Honolulu call girl giving me a phone number that I later find in the anteroom in the death chamber Kiki leads me to. Why isn't that real? What could I reasonably admit into evidence without causing my whole world to shake at its foundations? Was the sickness in here or out there? Did it matter? What was the line now? Get in step and dance, so that everyone's impressed. Keeping in step, was that the only reality? Well, dance yourself to the telephone, give your pal Gotanda a ring, and ask him casually, did you kill Kiki? No way. My hand experienced sudden paralysis. I sat by the phone, numb, shaking, as if I was in a crosswind. Breathing grew difficult. I liked Gotanda. I liked him a lot. He was my only friend. He was part of my life. I understood him. I tried dialing. I got the wrong number every time. On the 6th try, I hurled the receiver to the floor. I never did manage to call. In the end, it was Gotanda who showed up at my place. It was a rainy night. He was wearing a rain hat and the same white trench coat as the night I drove him to Yokohama. The rain was coming down hard and his hat was dripping. He didn't have an umbrella. He smiled when he saw me. I smiled back, almost a reflex. "You look awful," he said. "I called and called but never got an answer. So I decided just to come over." "You been under the weather?" "Under is not the word," I said. He sized me up. "Well, maybe it's a bad time. I'll come back when you're feeling better. Sorry to come by unannounced like this." I shook my head and exhaled. No words came. Gotanda waited patiently. "I'm not sick or anything," I assured him. "I just haven't been sleeping or eating. I think I'm okay now. Anyway, I've been wanting to talk to you. Let's go somewhere. I haven't eaten a full meal in ages." We took the Maserati out into the rainy neon streets. Gotanda's driving was precise and smooth as ever, but the car now made me nervous. The deep soundproofed ride caught a channel through the clamor that rose all around us. "Where to?" Gotanda asked. "All I care is that it's somewhere quiet where we can talk and get decent food without running into the Rolex crowd," he said. He looked my way, but I said nothing. For 30 minutes we drove around, my eyes focused on the building we were passing. "I can't think of any place," Gotanda tried again. "How about you? Any ideas?" "No, me neither. I really couldn't. I was still only half present." "Okay, then why don't we take the opposite approach?" he said brightly. "The opposite approach?" "Someplace noisy and crowded. That way we can relax." "Okay, where?" "Feel like pizza? Let's go to Shaki's." "I don't mind. I'm not against pizza. But wouldn't they spot you going to a place like that?" Gotanda smiled weakly, like the last glow of a summer sun between the lips. "When was the last time you saw anyone famous in Shaki's, my friend?" Shaki's was packed with weekend shoppers, crowded and noisy. A Dixieland quartet in suspenders and red and white striped shirts were pumping out the tiger rag to a raucous college group loud on beer. The smell of pizza was everywhere. No one paid attention to anyone else. We placed our order, got a couple of drafts, then found a table under a gaudy imitation Tiffany lamp in the back of the restaurant. "What did I tell you? Isn't this more like it?" said Gotanda. I'd never craved pizza before, but the first bite had me thinking it was the best thing I'd ever tasted. I must have been starving, the both of us. We drank and ate and drank, and when the pizza ran out, we each bought another round of beer. "Great, eh?" belched Gotanda. "I've been wanting a pizza for the last 3 days. I even dreamed about it, sizzling hot, sliding right out of the oven. In the dream, I never get to eat it, though. I just stare at it and drool. That's the whole dream. Nothing else happens." "What would Jung say about pizza archetypes?" Gotanda chuckled, then paused. "So, what was this that you wanted to talk to me about?" Now or never, I thought. But come right out with it. Gotanda was thoroughly relaxed, enjoying the evening. I looked at his innocent smile and couldn't bring myself to do it. Not now, at least. "What's new with you?" I asked. "Work? Your ex-wife?" "Work's the same," Gotanda said. "Nothing new, nothing good, nothing I want to do. I can yell until my throat gives out, but nobody wants to hear what I have to say. My wife, did you hear that? I still call her my wife after all this time. I've only seen her once since I last saw you." "Hey, you ever do the Love Hotel thing?" "Almost never." "I told you she and I have been meeting at love hotels. You know, the more you use those places, it gets stale. They are dark, windows all covered up. The place is only for fucking. So who needs windows, right? All you got is bathroom and a bed, plus music and TV and a refrigerator. But it's all pretty blank and anonymous and artificial. Actually, very conducive to getting down and doing it. Makes you feel like you're really doing it. After a while, though, you feel the claustrophobia and you begin to sort of hate the place. Still, they're the only refuse we got." Gotanda took a sip of beer and wiped his mouth with the napkin. "I can't bring her to my condo. The scandal rags would have a field day if they ever find out. I got no time to go off somewhere. They'd sniff it out too anyway. We practically sold our privacy by the gram. So we go to these cheeky fuck hotels and..." Gotanda looked over at me, then smiled. "Here I go, griping again." "That's okay, I don't mind listening." The Dixieland band struck up. "Hello, Dolly." "Hey, how about another pizza?" Gotanda asked. "Half it with you. I don't know what it is with me, but I am starving. Soon we were stuffing our faces with one medium anchovy. The college kids kept up their shouting match, but the band had finished their final set. Banjo and trumpet and trombone were packed in their cases, and the musicians left the stage and leaving only the upright piano. We finished the extra pizza, but somehow couldn't take our eyes off the empty stage. Without the music, the voices in the crowd became plastic and almost palpable. Waves of sound solidifying as they pressed towards us, yet broke softly on contact, rolling up slowly over and over again, striking my consciousness, then retreating. Farther and farther away, distant waves crashing against my mind in the distance. Why did you kill Kiki? I asked Gotenda. I didn't mean to ask it, it just slipped out. He stared at me as if he were looking at something far off. His lips parted slightly. His teeth were white and beautiful. For the longest time, he stared right through me. The surf in my mind went on and on, now louder and fainter, as if all contact with reality was approaching and receding. I remember his graceful fingers neatly folded on the table. When my reality stayed out of contact, they looked like fine craftwork. Then he smiled ever so peaceably. Did I kill Kiki? He enunciated slowly. Only joking, I hissed. Gotenda's eye fell to the table, to his fingers. No, this isn't a joke. This is very important. I really have to think about it. Did I kill Kiki? I have to give this very serious thought. I stared at him. His mouth was smiling, but his eyes weren't. Could there be a reason for you to kill Kiki? I asked. Could there be a reason for me to kill Kiki? I don't even know myself. Did I kill Kiki? Why? Hey, how would I know? I tried to laugh. Did you kill Kiki? Or didn't you kill Kiki? I said, I'm thinking about it. Did I kill Kiki or didn't I? Gotenda took another sip of beer, set down his glass, and propped his head up on his hand. I can't be sure. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? But I mean it. I'm not sure. I think maybe I tried to strangle Kiki. At my place, I think. Why would I have killed Kiki there? I didn't even want to be alone with her. No good. I can't remember. But anyway, Kiki and I were at my place. I put her body in the car and took her someplace and I buried her. Somewhere in the mountains. I can't be sure if I really did it. I can't believe I'd do a thing like that. I just feel as if I might have done it. I can't prove it. I give up. The most crucial parts are blank. I'm trying to think if there's any physical evidence, like a shovel. I'd have to have used a shovel. If I found a shovel, I'd know I did it. Let me try again. I buy a shovel at a garden supply. I use the shovel to dig a hole and bury Kiki. Then I toss the shovel. Okay, where? The whole thing's in pieces, like a dream. The story goes this way and that way. It's going nowhere. I have memories of something, but are the memories for real? Or are they something I made up later to fit? Something's wrong with me. It's gotten worse since my wife and I split up. I'm tired. I'm really lost. I said nothing. After a pause, Gotenda went on. Well, what's real anyway? From what point is it all phobia or acting? I thought if I hung around you, I'd get a better grip on things. I thought so from the first time you asked me about Kiki. Like maybe you'd clear away this muddle, open a window and let some fresh air in. He folded his hands again and peered down at them. Let's say I did kill Kiki. What would be the reason? I liked her. I liked sleeping with her. When I was down, she and May were my only release. So why kill her? Did you kill May? Gotenda stared at his hands for an eon, then shook his head. No, I don't believe I killed May. Thank God. I have an alibi for that night. The day she was killed, I was at studio until midnight. Then I drove with my manager to meet her. What a relief. If no one could swear I was at the studio that night, I'd worry that I killed May too. But I still feel responsible for May's death. I don't know why. I wasn't there. But it's like I killed her with my own hands. I have this feeling that she died on account of me. Another eon passed while he stared at his fingers. Gotenda, you're bit, I said. That's all. You probably didn't kill anyone. Kiki just vanished somewhere. When we were together, she used to disappear like that. It wouldn't be the first time. You're riding yourself too hard. Don't do it. No, it isn't like that. Not that simple. I probably did kill Kiki. I don't think I killed May, but yes, I think I killed Kiki. The sensation of the air going out of her throat is still in my fingers. I can still feel the weight of the dirt in the shovel. In effect, I killed her. But why would you kill Kiki? It doesn't make sense. No idea, I said. Maybe an urge to self-destruct. It's happened before. I get this gap between me, Gotanda, and me, the actor, and I stand back and actually observe myself doing shit. I'm on one side of this very deep, dark fault, and then unconsciously on the other side, I have this urge to destroy something, smash it to bits, a glass, a pencil, a plastic model. Never happens when other people are around, though, only when I'm alone. But once, when I was in an elementary school, I knocked into this friend of mine and he fell off a small bluff. I don't know why I did it, but the next thing I knew, he was down there. It wasn't a big fall, so he wasn't hurt too bad. It was supposed to be an accident. I mean, why would I push this friend of mine over the edge on purpose? That's what everyone thought. I wasn't so sure. Then high school, I set fire to these mailboxes. I'd put a burning rag down the slot. Not just one, not even as a prank. It was like I was compelled to do it. Like it was the only thing that bring me to my senses. Unconsciously, that was what I thought. But afterwards, I would remember the feel of things. I could still feel it in my hands, and I wouldn't be able to wash it off. God, what a horrible life. I don't know how I can stand it. Gotanda shook his head. How do I check if I killed Kiki? Gotanda went on. There's no evidence, no corpse, no shovel, no dirt on my trousers, no blisters on my hands. Not that digging a hole is going to give you blisters. I don't even remember where I buried her. Say I went to the police and confessed. Who would believe me? If there's no body, it's not a homicide. She disappeared. That's all I know for sure. There have been times I wanted to tell you, but I just couldn't. I thought it'd wipe out whatever closeness we had. Whenever I'm with you, I feel so relaxed. I've never feel the gap. You don't know how precious that is. I don't want to lose a friendship like ours. So I kept putting off telling you until you asked like this. I really ought to have come clean. Come clean? When there's no evidence you did anything? Evidence isn't the issue. I ought to have told you first, but I concealed it. That's the problem. Come on, even if it were true, even if you did kill Kiki, you didn't mean to kill her. He held out his palms, as if he were going to read them. No, I didn't mean to. I didn't have a reason. I liked her, and in a small way we were friends. We could talk. I could tell her about my wife, and she'd listen honestly. Why would I want to kill her? But I did. I think with these hands. Maybe I didn't do it willfully, but I did. I strangled her. But I wasn't strangling her. I was strangling my shadow. I remember thinking, if only I could choke my shadow off, I'd get some health. Except it wasn't my shadow. It was Kiki. It all took place in the dark world. You know what I'm talking about. Not here in this one. It was Kiki who led me there. Choke me, Kiki told me. Go ahead and kill me. It's okay. She invited me too. Allowed me to. I swear, honestly, it happened like that. Without me knowing. Can that happen? It was like a dream. The more I think about it, the more it doesn't feel real. Why would Kiki ask me to kill her? I downed the last of my lukewarm beer. A dense layer of cigarette smoke hovered like an ectoplasmic phenomena. Feel like another beer? I asked him. Yeah, I could use one. I went to the bar and came back with 2 mugs, which we drank in silence. The turnover at the place was as busy as Akihabara station at rush hour. Customers coming and going constantly. Nobody bothered listening into our conversation. Nobody even looked at Gotanda. What did I tell you? Gotanda summoned up a smile as he spoke. Not a star in sight. Gotanda swished his 2/3 empty glass around like a test tube. Let's forget it, I said quietly. I can forget it. You forget it too. You think I can forget it? Easy to say, but you didn't kill her with your own hands. Hey, you hear me? There's no evidence you killed Kiki. Stop blaming yourself for something that might not have happened. Your unconsciousness is using Kiki's vanishing act as a convenient way to lay a guilt trip on you. Isn't that a possibility? Okay, let's talk possibilities, said Gotanda, laying his palms flat on the table. I've been doing nothing but considering possibilities lately. All sorts of possibilities. Like the possibility that I'll kill my wife. Am I right? Maybe I'd strangle her if she allowed me to, like Kiki did. Possibilities are like cancer. The more I think about them, the more they multiply, and there's no way to stop them. I'm out of control. I didn't just burn mailboxes. I killed 4 cats. I used a slingshot and busted the neighbor's window. I couldn't stop doing shit like this, and I never told anyone about it until this minute. God, he sighed deeply. It's almost a relief telling you. What goddamn thing am I going to do next? That gap. It's too big, too deep. Professional hazard, huh? The bigger the gap, the more weird the shit I find myself doing. Is it in my genes? God, I'm afraid that I will just kill my wife. I haven't got any control over it because it won't take place in this world. You worry too much, I said, forcing a smile. Forget this nonsense about genes. What you need is a break from work. Stop seeing your wife for a while. It's the only way. Throw everything to the wind. Come with me to Hawaii, lie on the beach, drink pina coladas, swim, get laid, rent a convertible and cruise around listening to music. And if you still want to worry, you can do that later. Not a bad idea, he said, the folds of his eyes crinkling as he smiled. We'll just get two girls and the four of us can fool around till morning again. That was fun. Shoveling that good snow. Cuckoo. I can take off any time, I said. How about you? How long will it take you to finish up what you're doing? Gotenda gave me the oddest smile. You don't understand a thing, do you? There's no such thing as finishing up in my line of work. All you can do is toss the whole thing. And if I do that, you can be sure I'll never work again. I'd be drummed out of the industry permanently. And I'd lose my wife permanently. He drained the last of his beer. But that's fine. Back to nothing is fine. At this point, I'm ready to call it quits. I'm tired. Time I went to Hawaii and blanked out. Okay, let's scrap it all. Let's go to Hawaii. I can think things over later. I'll become a regular human being. Maybe too late, but worth a try. I'll leave everything up to you. I trust you. Always did. From the time you first called me up, you seemed like such a decent guy. Like what I'd always wanted to be. No such decent guy here, I protested. I'm just keeping in step, dancing along. No meaning to it at all. Gotenda spread his hands a body width apart on the table. And just where, pray tell, is there meaning? Where in this life of ours? Then he laughed. But that's okay, doesn't matter anymore. I'm resigned to it. I'll follow your example. I'll hop around from elevator to elevator. It's not impossible. I can do anything if I put my mind to it. I'm sharp, handsome, good-natured Gotenda after all. So, okay, Hawaii. We'll get the tickets tomorrow. First class, it's gotta be first class. It's in the cards, you know. BMW, Rolex, Azavu, and first class. We'll leave the day after tomorrow and land on the same day. Hawaii, I look good in an aloha shirt. You'd look good in anything. Thanks for tickling what remains of my ego. Gotenda gave me a good, long look. You really think you can forget I killed Kiki? Uh-huh. Well, one other thing you don't know about me. Remember I told you I got thrown in confinement for 2 weeks? Yeah, that was a lie. I blabbed everything, and they let me out right away. I wasn't scared. I wanted, in some sick way, to do something gutless. I wanted to hate myself. I'm such a louse. You didn't know that when you climbed up to save my face. You also saved my rotten hide. You did something for me that I wouldn't do for myself. Wash away my dirt. And I was glad, you know. It gave me the chance to finally be honest with myself. I feel like I've gone clean at last. Man, I bet it wasn't too pleasant to watch. Don't worry about it, I said. It's brought us closer together, I wanted to say. But I didn't. I decided to wait for a time when the words would mean more. So I just repeated myself. Don't worry about it. Gotenda took his rain hat from the back of his chair, checked to see how damp it was, then put it back. I got a favor to ask you, he said. As a friend. I'd like another beer, but I don't have it in me to get up and go get one. No problem, I said. I stood up and went up to the bar. There was a line, so it took me a while. By the time I waded back to the table, mugs in hand, Gotenda was gone. Ditto his rain hat, and no Maserati in the parking lot either. Great, I shook my head. Just great. There was nothing I could do. He had disappeared.